Today we're going to look at making these mini book charms that will be perfect for you to add to your charms. You can make other things, little embellishments, magnets, whatever you may want with these things that are just really little Halloween books, the classics or coloring books, and I'm going to show you how you can make these and do some yourself. Let's come on over here to the computer and work on some of the book covers in Canva. When I'm working on my book charms, I like to use Canva, and I have the free version of Canva. Now you may notice on my screen that it says something about Pro. It's the Pro trial. As I'm recording this, I'm in the midst of a 30-day offer that Canva gave me for free. What I'm going to be doing, you do not need the Pro version for that. I just have a free Canva account. This is the template that I've got available. It is a 2-page template, and I'm going to have in the description all the details for how you can get this template for free. What I've done is it has a spot that is 1.75 by 1.25. That's the dimension of each of these individual places here that you could insert a front and back cover. And I'm going to show you here in just a moment what you're going to need that would go into this. One thing to remember is you are not restricted to only doing that. This 1.75 by 1.25 is the dimension that I'm using, but it's also very flexible, and so I'm going to show you some examples with that. This is the first page, and it gives you 24 spots to put the book covers. Now on the second page, I have also made a page that, let's say you only have the front version and you don't have the back. So we're going to do a solid color in the back, but you know what? You can put anything you want on the back page. So I have this set up that I can put this front cover in and adjust the back cover as needed. So we're going to start off, and I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how I do this. Now I have already uploaded some images that I have gotten from different websites. I've told you about how I mainly use books that are in the public domain. That's where my interest is, and that I'm using these for personal use. So I'm not doing a lot of the things that I'm not selling these. I'm really not even giving a lot of these away. First of all, I need to pull in some of these files into Canva, and I already have one here. As you can see, it's a Sherlock Holmes book that is the front and the back cover. A lot of these I do find at places like Barnes & Noble, Pinterest. You can find those on the websites and look up, and it's really a lot of the classics are like this. I've also got an Agatha Christie book, which is only the front cover. And then I've got some images that I got from Creative Fabrica that I do have a subscription for that. And these are some cute little Halloween coloring book covers that are actually to be used as people are creating their own coloring books and things, but I'm going to use them for my little book charms. So let me show you some of the other files that I have, and we will go ahead and do that. So these are all of the different coloring book charms that I have. Again, they are only going to be the front cover of these that I got from Creative Fabrica, and I'm going to pick some of these in just a moment and pull those over. So I have pulled in and uploaded some of the books that I'm using. Again, these are my Halloween books that I'm using that I'm going to make some charms with, and so I want to show you how to do this. I had mentioned at the very beginning that this dimension is 1.75 by 1.25, and that works. It's a nice round number, but it's not always perfect for some of the book covers that we have. So to me, I think of this almost as a starting point. Let me show you what I mean here. So because this has this little template that allows this frame that we can pull an image in, I'm going to go with this first book. It's Dracula. And if I wanted to include this in my document, I'm going to pull it over and see how it goes inside that little frame, and there is our Dracula book. But let's look up close here for a moment, and you will see that it is cutting off the A. I don't want that. I want to have the entire book to be shown, and I love this spine. I want all of this to be seen. So here is my fix for this. So I'm going to be working closely right next to this. I want to keep it about this dimension, but again, we're not tied to it because as you're going to see later when we get into doing our foam and stuff, we're cutting all that out ourselves. There's nothing already cut out that I have to use a particular size. So I'm going to highlight this frame next to it and delete it. So now I'm going to go to the Dracula book. I'm going to click it once and it's going to put it here in my file. But I want to be careful as I'm dragging. See how it's trying to put it in these different frames? I don't want that. I just want it right next to it. And I'm going to take any of the corners and I'm going to drag this. I want to keep the dimensions in terms of what the book dimension is. And that to me is a very close image. If we look at this, the size of this is 1.89 by 1.25 is the height. So it's a little bit wider than the 1.75 I have, but we have the height of 1.25 and that gets the entire book. And so now I think compared next to one another, you can see the difference in the two books. I'm going to go with this image here that I have on the right. I'm going to go ahead and delete that out of there. Now you may ask, well then why are you even using the frames? Some books it works perfectly fine to have that in, but some we're going to have to play around with. So let's go back to our uploads. I have a feeling this same one like Frankenstein that I got from Barnes & Noble, I thought it was going to do the same, but it looks like it may have worked. So this one actually looks very good, Frankenstein. And let's go up really close and see we get the entire image. I think I'm good with that. So the Frankenstein book actually went in very nicely and I can use the frame. Let's check out this Poe book. And I think it's cutting some stuff off, I can tell. So let's just click on the one Poe book. I'm going to take this frame away. And let's just shrink this down and we'll see what we come up with. I sort of like to line up and let them be the same height, but let's check out what it turned out to be. So it is 1.91 by 1.25. So I'm going to go with this Poe book on the right hand side that I put together myself with the dimensions, and that's going to be just fine. It doesn't matter that it's not fitting in the frame or that it's not exactly the same size as these other two books. That's for me personally. Okay, let's see what else we've got. So I'm mainly, let's look at the couple of books that have the front and back cover with them first. I've got this Picture of Dorian Gray book. Let's let that go right in there. And it looks like that book, I think that's going to fit. That looks like that got the whole thing. So the Picture of Dorian Gray book, we're not going to have to do any adjustments. It went right in. And I'll show you the Sherlock Holmes book again. I guess I had taken that out. And it does cover that up. So with the Sherlock Holmes book, I want to just set this right here. We're just going to shrink it down a bit. I like to line it up and I like to use these hash lines to make it about the same. And it's 1.94 by 1.25. I don't know what makes it different unless it's how when I copy it over, maybe I select it at a different dimension. We'll take that one out. Okay, what else do I have? Those may be the only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 front and back cover books that I have. And at this point we can decide, because I'm going to be printing this sheet out, I am keeping it in the Halloween theme. So I think what I might do is let's go ahead and let's work on the second page that's just the front covers, because if I were to print out all those Creative Fabrica images that I showed at the beginning, I'm probably going to need to fill in here. But we're going to go ahead and work on this second page, which is the front cover only. So now on the second page here, let's look at one of the books that only has the front cover. And I have this example of The Raven. And let's get really close. I feel like it has cut off around the edge of the raven. So we're going to do a very similar thing that we did for the front and back cover book. I'm going to bring it over here and size it down. This is a really thin book. So see, it also depends on the book that you have. Now, let me go ahead and delete this. If I want this book to be very close to the same height as the other books I have, that's what we're going to be looking at right here. And you can tell it's not the same dimension here because we have the front cover and the back. But one thing I do want you to consider is if we look back at our page over here that had the front and the back, we had a spine, right? And that's going to be taken care of. We're going to need a spine because we're folding the paper over just a small piece of foam, so it's not going to need a lot. But I don't want to really duplicate the size. I want to have something just a little bit bigger. So here's how I fix it. I'm going to take, this is a separate element that is just a rectangle, and I'm going to kind of put it on top of my book. I still want it symmetric. Now, I could have used this, let's make it a little bit smaller to line it up, and just had me an assumed spine here on the side and use that. We could do that, but I think I want a little bit smaller spine. So I'm going to do it something more in line with that. And now let's take this back cover and line it up right there together. And I think they're close. Sometimes I look at this and but I think it lines up with the top of the book and the bottom. That's too long. Okay. Now, I don't like this green though, so it's our choice what we want to use. I think I'm going to go with this really dark inside. I think that's probably almost black, but here's how we can change the color. So click on the rectangle, go up here to the color, and it's going to open this color area over here. I like to add a new color, and we can get a color picker. Click on that, and then I want to go inside here, pick that color, and that's going to give us this color here. It's not exactly fully black. This is the hex over here, but it's very close. Black would have probably been fine, but I'm going to go with this, and then this gives me my Raven book that I'm going to use. So I'm going to delete that one out, and I'm going to repeat that process. I've got a couple of other books. I'm going to do one more here and show you. This is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. And for this one, I had a front cover, and then I was able to copy the back cover. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that one. I think I've gotten most of, let's take a look at what the actual cover looks like if we don't use the frame. I think it's close enough that I'm going to go with that. Now, I want to copy. I'm going to do a Control-C and copy this, and then a Control-V. And in place of, actually, I may need to use it just for a minute. Well, let's just delete that for now, and we'll put our frame side by side. And then here is the back portion of the book. And do we like how that looks? The only thing is I don't really have a spine. And I'm wondering if I should pull a spine in. Let's make a little bit of space. And maybe we will take our rectangle, copy it, and I'm going to fit it in right in between here, side by side. And do we want to make this spine portion black or blue? It would really be good if we had the same image, but I think I'm going to go with a black spine. Let's just make it easy. That looks okay, doesn't it? Make sure we're lined up. We have this white mark. I want to make sure we're as close as we need to be, because when we do the printing, I want it to look all together. And so what I might do here is I'm going to group all of this. Let's see, our height is 1.25 on all of these. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to highlight all three of these sections and group them. So if I do any adjustments, I won't lose that they are together. I'll group this as well. And let's see what else we've got left to do. I've got a couple of other books. I'm going to finish those, but I want to show you also how I do the Creative Fabrica book. So if I were to pull that in right here, I know this takes away some of the image because this little boy's hand is stuck, and I know he has a hand on the image right there. So we're not getting the full image from this. So let's go ahead, and just like we did with the Poe, the Raven book, I'm going to make me a spot right here. And we'll drag this to be even. And in terms of, let's see, is this? Okay. And for our back piece, a color, I think I'm going to go with the purple. So let's do that. We're going to highlight the rectangle, go back up here to our color, add the plus sign, go to the pick a color, and I'm going to go inside this little boy's sweater, and it chose that purple. Let's see how big this is. Okay, I need to increase the size of my back cover. Whoops, undo. The length, that makes it the same, but then we need to add a little bit of a spine and then line this up side by side. And we're going to select both of them and group them, and there is that book. I'm going to go ahead and take this one out, and I'm going to show you what we've got. So we've got our Sleepy Hollow book that we added the black spine. We have the Raven book that's a little bit thinner. We added a spine on as part of the back cover, and then did the same thing here with the spooky coloring book. I'm going to continue and put all of the pieces in that I want to do, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. As I'm working on these little coloring books that I got from Creative Fabrica, these little Halloween ones here, I wanted to show you another way you can use these in Canva. So once you have one set up, or however many, all you really need to do, this is using the templates that I have set up, but they're a different size, so we're going to change those up. I'm just going to delete that out of the way, and I'm going to use this one. So I'm going to copy it, and we'll paste another version of it and pull it down here. Now what we can look at, this is the front cover, but it also is the same. I've already got it, and I'm actually going to line these up a little bit better to print. Now we'll take this one here on the left hand side, and I've used 3 covers so far. I want to add a 4th, and I think I'm ready to add this one. Just as we did with the frames, we can pull that in right there. And now if I want to redo the color on the back to match, let's say this purple a little bit better, I'm going to pick that color purple, and, or let's see, let's go with, I guess that shade right there. Yeah, that's the one that I want. And that gives me that book. I can do that. I'm going to delete these out as well. I didn't get all three. And we're going to also, I can just place down 3 more of these books, and we'll line those up to fit on this page nice and even. And also, as I work each one, I like to group them just in case. So I have these 3 that now I can just very quickly drag that different cover into it. And I will go back now and fix the color of that back piece. And that is quick and easy. So I just wanted to share with you how you can still continue along doing this and make it quick and easy. Let's see what that blue looks like. It's a little different, but we'll go with that. And I think I have all my book covers done. Let me show you the 2 pages that I've put together. I've got some duplicates on here because I thought it would be fun to have those, and because I may use these with different projects. Some of the little coloring books that I've done with Creative Fabrica, I've changed the back covers and made some duplicates. But I have, I guess this is close to 48 book covers, around that. And so I'm going to take these, I'm going to download them as a PDF. So let's go ahead and we're going to download. I'm going to make this, I'm going to go ahead and make this a PDF print, and we will download these 2 pages. And here we've got the 2 pages, the PDFs, and I'm going to send these to my color printer. So I have everything printed out, my book covers, and even though I've really only got 2 sheets because I had some issues with the printer and I was showing the lines here, so I reprinted those after I got the printer cleaned. But some of these are not that bad, so I'm going to keep them. I'm not going to get rid of them. And let's just start making some of these little mini book charms. And so I'm just going to start off, I'm trying to see where I want to begin. I'm going to end up doing all of these. Let's do the Frankenstein book first, though. And I just like to get my scissors out and cut out the books the best that I'm able to. These images, that's why these being mini, you don't have a major area to cut out, so that's why I think it's fine to use scissors instead of putting it on the trimmer and getting it pretty close. Okay, so here we've got our Frankenstein. Okay, I have my piece of foam here. It's just a white piece of foam. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, not very thick at all. And what I like to do is I like to use the edges already in place on the foam. We're going to end up gluing this, and I want to make use of this spine that I have here. So when it's like this, when I can visually see the spine, I'm going to kind of play with it and line it up where I want it, just kind of wrapping it around that piece of foam. I have not added any of my glue yet, but we'll do that next. So now I like to just use my Tombow liquid glue, and I probably need to open up my other one because I'm near the end. I like to use my little mat here that is really just a cutting mat from the Dollar Tree. And I use it as my glue mat, and I'm just going to put my glue on here. Now again, because I'm just using regular copy paper, and you can use the thicker cardstock if you want to. I'm going to take this, and we're going to end up wrapping it around the foam as I had it. And I'm seeing, I want to make it, try to get it even on there, because we're going to cut this out from this larger piece of foam. So I've wrapped it so that it is fairly even and everything's in place. And I always like to put little weighted things. I use my acrylic blocks, and we'll let that dry. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut out these other book covers, and I'll be ready to place those around here and give them a chance to dry as well. So I'm going to leave a little room in between. Really don't need a lot, because I'm going to be trimming those out. And while I get the next one ready to work on, I will have my piece of acrylic there and ready to continue going. Say about halfway. And I could kind of fold it out here a little bit, get the fold down. This particular one has a little bit more of a spine. Oops. We'll place that down. Okay, so I have this first set that fits all the way around this piece of foam. I had a little bit extra piece that I'm going to use. I'm going to leave these here with these acrylic blocks on there to dry, get good and dry, and then we'll move on to the next step. So I think all of our covers have dried on our pieces of foam, and so now it's time to trim them out. So I like to use my small sharp scissors for this, and we're just going to start down here in the corner, and it's very easy to just trim out of the foam piece. Now I always use just this white foam, but I can imagine how you could even use other colors as well. Trim this up. And it's great as a little book right there alone, but we're going to add some things to it. So I need to trim all of these out of the foam. And as I do that, when I'm all finished, I will come back and we'll move on to our next step. Okay, so here are the books that I have gotten ready. I have 18 of these done, and I still have more foam and more books to lay out and do, but these are some of the ones that I'm just starting with. So if you can tell, these have been cut out, they have glued on, but it's just the regular paper. So let's talk about some of the options that we have for doing this. These books to me would be so cute if you had the little bitty bookshelves and could line them up, or even just have them somewhere to display. But for the purposes of what I use them for, which are usually with book charms, album charms, that sort of things, I'm going to put a little hook here on mine. These are little screw eyelets. I have them in both a gold and a silver, and it has a screw piece here on the base, and then we've got the little hook there that we can attach to other little rings or that sort of thing that we're going to need as we're doing our charms. I think I'm going to attach my screw eyelets first, and then we're going to put a covering over the books, and so we'll determine which ones, how we want to do it. But I'm just going to start with this one, this little spooky Halloween coloring book. And if I'm going to go with, we'll say the gold eyelet. And I got a comment before I go much further. Last time when I did this, I would put the eyelets in this direction, and somebody recommended that I flip that 90 degrees and put it in that direction. And that would work. I'm trying to decide. The only thing that, one reason that I like to do it in this direction is because, like I had mentioned, normally then I'm going to probably put a ring on that. I would attach the ring, and that's going to put it in that direction, and it's just going to make it dangle a little bit more. Again, you could install it in this direction, especially maybe if you were doing a necklace or that sort of thing, but because I'm using it on my book charms, I think I'm going to install it this way. And what I like to do is I have my tool that has a sharp point on it. Remember now, we've got the foam in the middle. So about halfway in, I'm going to try to just start a little hole. Doesn't have to go very far. And then I've got my the screw eyelet. I'm going to take my glue and just put barely a little bit on the tip end. And some people use hot glue. That would work as well. I'm just putting a little bit of glue here. And take my piece, and it goes right in to the foam, and we will twist. Apply just a little bit of pressure, but go straight down into the foam, and I'm going to end it right there, and we will let that sit and dry. So now I have the little hooks attached on each of the ones that I've done so far. Now we've got four different ways that we could leave these. Number one, the easiest is we just leave this as is. We have the paper cover onto the foam, and that is one way we can do it. Another way, which I've done in the past, is using Glossy Accents. And I do like the way that this looks. We're going to do some of this with the Glossy Accents, compare all these. The second way that we're going to use is some resin. I've got this UV resin, I have a lamp, and I'll show you how to do some in that way. Now let's just simply put this on the front covers. And we just want to do it in as even distribution as we can. It will take it a little time to dry. For most of mine, I'm just going to put this on the front. I'm not concerned so much about the back side. And I can kind of see, I don't know if the camera can pick up the spots where we might need to add some, especially along the sides, and in the middle here I can see. But then I'm going to use my tip of this to see where I need to maybe move it a little bit. You could also use like a toothpick or something. Kind of have a look there. Already see the glossiness. And we're just going to leave it to dry. And I'm going to do that for each of the remaining pieces. I finally got my bottle flowing really well, and so I've been able to do this a lot quicker, and I'm getting really good coverage. So I probably need a new bottle. I've had this bottle for years, and it's lasted, but I've never really done as many projects as I have recently with these book charms. Okay, I'm gonna leave these to dry, and I'm probably gonna give them a day. So I have my little UV resin light set up. Here is the UV. According to our instruction sheet, it's gonna take 3 to 4 minutes under the light. Now I am wearing a glove because I don't really wanna get the resin on me. And so I'm gonna use it for this hand. That's where I'm gonna kind of be placing things. I think I'm going to do 2 at a time. And we said 3 to 4 minutes. So I'm going to place the resin on here first, and then I'll place them under the light. This will give the clear cover. It has a very good flow. I only again cover the front. We could go back if I was using this as a charm or something. I may cover the back. I'm gonna move this closer, and then I will put that under the light as soon as I get this one. It doesn't take very long. And as with the other glaze, if you want to use something like a toothpick, that would work. And that's on there. Let's move this here so you can see. I'm going to slide that under there, and we will turn on the light. It'll do it for 150 seconds at a time. So that's 2.5 minutes, and we are going for 3 minutes. This is where we're gonna be, and I will come back in just a few moments. I'm gonna go ahead and start the second batch. I have put this in for a minute and a half. So that will equal out to 4 minutes for the first 2. And then we will be ready. One thing I'm noticing, it appears that some of the paper is curling up. So maybe I didn't have it glued as closely as it needed to be around the edge. I'm hoping that is just for those 2 particular ones and not the entire batch, because really one looks worse than the other. So maybe it was just that one was not glued all the way down good. This is good though that I've got a few minutes or a few seconds to let this sit, because I was reading up and it said let this sit for a few seconds before you put it up underneath the light. Interesting result here. as I've got this next set of books because I was thinking how well they were glued on here. But look at the Dracula book. It's coming up. And so I need to do some investigating on that. And the light just went off for the full 4 minutes. Here are the charms I've already had under the light, and I'm just going to leave these to sit. Even though they're supposed to be ready, they feel ready. I do have some concern with how this happened, and I'm going to do some more investigating to see if that's just the paper. It didn't do that with all of the pieces necessarily. I say that, but look at this one. Even though it looks really good there, but it did come up on the foam. So that could be many different factors. My glue that I used, the paper. I'm going to try some things, and then I'm going to get back with you here in a moment. Now we've still got other pieces that need to dry, so I'm going to come back when everything's ready and I'll show everything to you. I'm going to cut out a few more, and I'm going to make a couple of changes. For the ones that I'm going to do the resin with, I want to print some out here on cardstock, just regular plain cardstock. I've also found some glue I have that is for foam and poster board, and I'm going to make those 2 changes and also let some of the pieces dry a little bit longer. I'm going to have some that I did a little bit in a couple of hours, and some that I'm going to let dry longer, and we're going to see which ones come out better. And so let me get to work on cutting these out, and I'll show you how they turn out. Let's take a look at everything that we were able to make with all the little book charms here now. So first of all, I wanted to show you what the charms look like without any kind of covering on them. So none of the glossy features, none of the resin. It's just this book page. And for these 2, I just used the copy paper. Everything, and even this one, remember we did the back of it. I have the eye hooks on it, and they will work. Now, for what I'm using, I've just got to make sure, you know, the wear and tear, it could play a role in messing some of these up. But I think they look really good, so I'm happy with these. I only left 2 uncovered. Now remember, we also used Glossy Accents on some, and that is this series that I have right here. And I'm going to show you some things about these up front. This is probably one of my favorite books because I think it just stands out. It's different compared to the other colors. It's got the white in the background. I like using the Glossy Accents. The difference in this, and you're going to see with the resin, the level of you can see that you can't really see like a bubble with this, and so it's not quite as thick, I guess you could say. I think it keeps the color, it maintains the color. I don't really see any bleeding from any of these. There is a softer feel to this. I can feel, you remember we have the foam in between, so there is a little bit of a softer feel than with the resin. I was really pleased with how all of these turned out as well. This one has a little bit, maybe unevenness, and that could be user error from how I put this on here. This one went on really well. So I think these are going to be great to use and be protected, and they do have that shine. Now, I have noticed some of these, and you're going to see it more with the resin, my books aren't glued down on the foam as well. And again, that's probably how I did the glue. But you know, as I started looking at some of these, how they were kind of wrinkled up on the side, to me that almost looks more like a real book. Again, I'm not selling these. These are for my personal use. This one's a little dark. It's harder to see. But there are some places where the cover does not attach directly to the foam. And I did play around with some different types of glue. So as I started out in the video, I used my Tombow glue, and then I switched over to this Beacon foam and poster board adhesive, and I cannot really find much of this online any longer. I've had this for a while. I used this on a few of the pieces. Did not see a very significant difference as compared to the Tombow. So I would say either one. Now, there may be some other pieces or that you leave this to dry longer, but I'm okay with this. Again, I like to put these on my projects. The brand new way that I did this is with the resin, because that's a new feature that I have, a new supply. And so I did all of these pieces with resin. If you'll notice, I came back and did a few pieces and I did not add the screw on the top, the hook. I can add that later, or I may use some of these pieces as either magnets or just as embellishments on projects. Stick them straight on here. I love how especially the little coloring books turned out. I think they're so neat. I love the colors, but I also like the other little books that we have, the Sherlock Holmes book and everything. Okay, so let's take a closer look. I'm going to show you, we'll do this one here because these two, I think, well, the coloring on the coloring books really look great. So for this particular one with the hook at the top, I printed this out on copy paper. And this one actually looks really good. I think this one turned out just fine. Let me show you another one. As I was talking about with the ones with the glossy accents, some of my books, see, you can really tell it on this one. Well, you sort of can. Can't really tell as much on camera, but the paper did come up from the foam, but it's hard. This is hard because it is the resin. Okay, I'm fine with it. Again, I think it gives it a neat little look that it looks like a book cover and the pages being open. The Sherlock Holmes book did it as well. I'm not for sure if it is the glue or if it's because I used paper. And since I did that with the copy paper, I think on my last project when I used this, I used cardstock. So that's what I came in and used with most of these that I did not add the hook to. These are made with cardstock, but they still have a little bit of pulling up on that edge. So it could be that maybe I just need to be really careful and make sure I'm gluing all the way edge to edge. But I love how these turned out. Some of my cutting I need to work on, but I think it looks great altogether. So I love the feel of the resin. It makes it really hard. Again, I did not do the resin on the back because if I'm going to use it for my charms and stuff, it's really the front that I'm concerned with. If I was going to make some jewelry and do charms for that or earrings, something like that, probably going to need to put the resin on both sides. But for my project, I just chose to go with the front. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing me make all of these little mini book charms. I have used resin with these, glossy accents, and a couple that I haven't even put anything on. And I also still have printouts that I can make more of these books and use more of the foam, or I may come up with a different technique. And if I do, I will be sure and share that with you. But now I'm going to take these, I'm going to put them in my stash. And as I start my Halloween crafting, I'm going to have plenty of things to choose from and add to my different things. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please leave me any questions below, or if you have any other ideas of some really cute books that would make great mini book charms, let me know in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed this. Don't forget, you can get a copy of the Canva template that will help you to do these book covers, and you can print them out and make some yourself. I hope you have a great day.